if it is so cheap, is there a risk that all the geopolitical agreements will be put aside by someone like Elon Musk just doing it?
No, because any megalomaniac individual entrepreneur is a citizen of some country, and their enterprises operate under the legal jurisdiction of some country or countries, and that however much it is the modern fashion to kind of ignore the state and to disrespect the state and collective action, in fact, states have the authority. And so if it's ever done, it will very likely, in fact, almost certainly be under the authority of states. We might mistrust the competency and integrity of state decision-making, and I don't want to be any slouch in believing in political folly. But I think we don't need to worry about Dr. Evil or Elon Musk or Bill Gates doing it on their own.
I think
Just like to get a concrete picture of what it is we're talking about when we're talking about putting aerosols into the atmosphere. I did a radio interview, and somebody's question to me was, is it going to smell? Is the sky going to look different? How will those things get there? And I thought, these are practical questions for the layperson.
There are many ways that it might be done, but if it was aerosols in the stratosphere, it would likely be put there by airplanes, a number of sort of 20 or 30 airplanes by mid-century operating from a few airfields. That's one way it could be done.
And they would go up every day and do this?
They'd be flying continuously, putting up aerosols. And the aerosols naturally spread evenly in the stratosphere. It's actually very hard, so you can't get them in one place to block weather. That's actually impossible if you wanted to. So the stratosphere things spread pretty evenly, and so you'd be bringing aerosols up there, and they'd be spreading over the stratosphere.
And what's the chemical being discussed?
So the best understood chemical is sulfates or sulfuric acid. So it's the same thing that is naturally in the stratosphere, both from volcanoes and natural emissions, but there's a bunch of other ideas. Let's say we were doing geoengineering because we wanted to make the weather a little bit better.
There will be monsoon failures during that period. There will be huge hurricanes. The global studies indicate there will be some impact on precipitation patterns.
It might involve large-scale regional agricultural disruption lasting a number of years.
Potentially, 2 billion people could have their food disrupted by such interventions.
That the aerosols can, at least in these model simulations, or indicated by these simulations, can offset most climate change in most places most of the time for both precipitation and runoff. But it's likely to cause some damage in some places.
Just get on to Mr. Fletcher. Another question on the in an interview with the Los Angeles Times on April 21st, you said that you told the Associated Press that the American government has created weather tampering techniques so that the New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans and to control the rest. Would you explain what you were trying to say?
Well, what I was trying to say is exactly what I said. There is weather control techniques. We have a complete package on that, which I did not bring, but I certainly will see to it that it is brought in for the record. Number one, the entire patents on the equipment. Number two, Senator Claiborne Pell's complete statement and story of his own that not only does it exist, but that we even utilize it as far back as the Vietnam War. You might want to touch base with Senator Pell.
I just want to repeat before I turn to...
So yes, but we do have all that information.
You're saying the government has created weather tampering techniques so that the, quote, New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans.
Worldwide.
Millions of Americans, and to control the rest.
Yes, sir, and that's my belief. As bizarre as that sounds, if somebody had told me that equipment even existed 10 years ago, I would have thought they were nuts, sir. And at this point in time, we have all the documents to prove it. And if you think that 85 tornadoes takes place in the middle of our growing area by simultaneous accident, I'm sorry. With the equipment that's already set up internationally, and as bizarre as that is, it is proven and documented. We will supply you with those documents. As bizarre as that is, I would say that weather wars, and this is quoting actually Senator Claiborne Pell himself, that they are the greatest weapon ever created in the world, and that's the senator's own statement. So yes, I do stand on that.
Thank you.
Like this is so rare in Southern California that Los Angeles County is hoping to squeeze out every drop by cloud seeding from ground stations like this one.
There are 10 of these locations throughout the San Gabriel Mountains.
Kurjan Lee is with the LA County Department of Public Works, which has paid $500,000 to a cloud seeding contractor promising to make more rain. When you say the term cloud seeding, a lot of people think it's just hocus pocus.
Well, this actually comes with a lot of science behind it.
Cloud seeding works when silver iodide particles are sprayed into a saturated cloud. They act like a nucleus, which attracts supercooled water vapor that freezes into ice. Once the ice becomes heavy enough, it falls and melts to become rain. LA County officials insist they can get up to 15% more rainfall with no health risks. Do people have to worry that their water systems may be contaminated from cloud seeding?
No, absolutely not. Cloud seeding is absolutely safe.
How much more water do you think you can actually get out of these clouds?
Based on our 50-year study, we think we can get an additional 1.5 billion gallons a year.
And that would be a welcome sight in Southern California's depleted reservoirs. Carter Evans, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Eyes. And not try to shed the light on this issue, knowing every breath they take is laden with these metals. I have been forced to conclude that there is no greater or no more immediate threat to anything that lives and breathes than the global geoengineering programs, short of nuclear catastrophe.
Spraying 10 to 20 million tons of toxic aluminum and other substances into our sky for the stated goal of cooling our planet.
So let me distinguish these two different kinds of geoengineering as clearly as I can. So the first one is we call solar radiation management, and that's the idea that you could put mostly reflective particles or other means to make the Earth whiter, effectively to increase the Earth's reflectivity, reducing the amount of heat that's absorbed by the sun, and therefore exerting some overall cooling tendency on the Earth.
I think, though the initial results of climate models indicate that reflection of sunlight away from the Earth can offset most